We're talking about the 10 biggest communication mistakes today. And these are the things we do that create this difference between intention and perception. The things we're going to talk about today are especially powerful in the context of leadership. And again, not title leadership, but exactly the kind of leaders you're talking about. Just at an individual level, taking accountability, taking ownership, trying to have influence with people, okay? It's really great for that. As a general rule, emotions trump everything else, especially if somebody's upset. You know, if I'm frustrated about something like I was, that's the biggest thing going on for me right then. It's not the watch, it's the emotion. And when the emotions get ignored, bad things happen. People get upset. So that's what happened with me. That's why I ended up sort of mad over something that was not that big a deal. But this is not only a problem when people are upset. The bigger problem with this Mr. Spock syndrome is that when you ignore people's emotions, the emotions in a situation, the message that sends to them, the unspoken message is, I don't care about you. That's an observation, okay? It's really critical you start with an observation comment. And by the way, a rule of thumb for that is, if it's in any way debatable, it's not an observation. And the reason is, and you've had this experience, if you start a conversation with somebody with some part of your statement that is an assumption, or not even just completely accurate, it's like, why do you always do that? What do you end up debating? Well, I don't always do it, right? You end up debating the opening statement rather than what you actually need to talk about, okay? If you really make it a clear, objective observation, you won't have that problem. One of the biggest mistakes in communicating better is not getting feedback. I know you'd think you can catch these mistakes yourself. Once you know what to look for, right, if you're really working on it. I think the same thing about me. I mean, I wrote the book, for crying out loud. Certainly I can do this myself. It doesn't work that way. There's something about communication. Even when you know what you want to do or not do, you think about it, you work on it, you write it down, you still miss stuff. Lead with the relationship. What that means is, you want to talk to the other person as a person before you get into the details. Okay, before you get into that core message. Connect, then communicate. That's the key to being heard. If there's one sentence that sums up this whole program, that's it. Connect, then communicate. Pointing out differences is another mistake for being heard. And here's why. You remember the big message we want to send. Respect you, understand you, care about you. Yes? Whenever we point out how we're different from someone else, the unspoken message that sends is, I don't understand you. And the surprising thing about this is how many ways you do this. This is another one of the most common things I see. Emotions are the bridge between us. They're the great equalizer. We can have all different backgrounds and experiences and opinions, but everybody understands excitement and concern and joy and frustration. It's just an incredibly effective way to connect with people, to relate to them, and to be heard by them.